biggest conversations. CT Muga is away this week. He has taken some time to go and recharge his batteries. He needs to do that, so he'll be back after a couple of days. So it's Eric and Ndu today. And the Employment and Labor Relations Court today and tomorrow is having a symposium, and this is a very important one because it's bringing together all stakeholders in the labor sector to come and have conversations about this. We had a judge of the Employment and Labor Relations Court joining us last week to talk about what the court has been doing. It's been established. So the second Employment and Labor Relations Annual Symposium and Exhibition is being held at the University of Nairobi, the Chandaria Auditorium, today, 16th of September, and tomorrow, 17th. It brings together stakeholders and court users to discuss the role of the Employment and Labor Relations Court in fostering a world of work free from violence and harassment, including sexual and gender-based violence. So you can follow the conversations by going there to the University of Nairobi, or you can follow the conversations on the judiciary's social media pages. The Employment and Labor Relations Court, promoting social transformation through access to justice. Ndu, Ebu, remind everybody why Loop is not an app, it's a lifestyle.
It is. Imagine being able to do everything that you need to do with your money on one app at one time. And so we're talking across the board. Move money from your account to your mobile wallet. Pay your bills, all your utility bills. You want to pay for your power. You want to pay for your deliveries, whatever it is that you want to pay for, you can do that on Loop. You can manage your transactions that you want to do every month. You want to pay your bills, you want to take an overdraft, you want to set up standing orders. All of these can be done on Loop. You want to make sure that everything that you transact is actually done in one place. It is actually a lifestyle whereby you don't have to run from pillar to post to get things done. All you need to do is download Loop, set up your standing orders, pay your bills, move money from your account to your mobile wallet, do all of these things in one place at one time, just because you downloaded the app on your Google Play Store or on your Apple App Store. Why wait when you can
Loop it? Exactly. Our guests are still here. Beatrice Elachi, Member of Parliament at Greater North, and former Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, who has also served as chairman of that union, and also Member of Parliament, Wilson Sossion. We are talking about our education sector. As we get back into this conversation, remember we told you about star 544 hash on your Safaricom line. Dial star 544 hash. Why is it? Because if you dial star 544 hash and then it brings that suite of options, and then you go to Go Monthly, and then you choose the all-in-one monthly option. That all-in-one monthly package opens the door for you to enjoy 17 GB of data. Now somebody was saying, oh, but you see, this is not home internet. This is internet on your mobile phone. 17 GB of data on your mobile phone. 1,000 minutes to call on your mobile phone. 2,000 SMSs. Free WhatsApp. Only 2,000 shillings. Just try it. You'll see. I've been on it for a while. Like I told you, that thing of you using your phone then to sambaza internet to your other gadgets, called what?
Hotspot.
Hotspot.
Well done.
Yeah. I'm hotspotting from my phone to my other gadgets. 17 GB.
There's nothing you can do.
It's a lot.
It's a game changer.
Yes, it is a lot. Our proverbs for this week are from the country of Libya. The naked man in the caravan has peace of mind. He whose covering belongs to others is uncovered. The naked man in the caravan has peace of mind. He whose covering belongs to others is uncovered. Wilson told, and Beatrice have told us, well, think about it. If you are comfortable in your own skin, you're comfortable. If you're using other people's skin,
You can't be comfortable.
You can't be comfortable. Basically, that's false hope and false living that you're in. Maybe that's where we are in our education sector. Because a number of things have happened. Our constitution guarantees every child in this country access to basic education. It doesn't say free, the constitution says basic education. Our government, since the Kibaki government, have said, yes, basic education shall to a great extent be free at the primary level. And in the secondary, a lot of it also is taxpayer funded. Children are to get it. We have a policy in government that says transition from primary through to secondary will be 100%. Let all children go through basic education from 0 to 16, all the way. Now, we have been disbursing the largest chunk of our budget goes into education. What quality are we getting in that education? The Basic Education Act, as Wilson Sossion has told us, Section 64, creates the Education Standards and Quality Assurance Council. Does that council exist? In law, it does. In practice, it doesn't, because it has not been constituted by the minister. The courts last week directed the minister to constitute this council within 60 days.
Yes.
Now, if this council was in place, when the minister and the PS and the other bosses went to meet the president last week and told him, Mr. President, and Russia was really sad. Mr. President, we are going to give you, in fact, we are going to start phase 1 of inspecting all schools, both private and public, to check the quality and standards of all facilities and installations in all schools. And we'll come up with a report of what happened here and what's happening elsewhere. If this council was in place, the council would have reported to the president, this is the status of our schools across the country, as that day they were meeting the president. It didn't happen. The ministers were saying, we are going to start, because council doesn't exist. And that's why the two MP and former MP are here saying, it's in law. Were we flouting the law? Wilson, you said, cartels have invested. He said, defiling the law. Cartels have infiltrated our education sector. And this is lending a disservice to our children.
Because is that not what we ought to look at the end of the day? The brick and mortar, as important as it is, when we talk about, because what leads to this behavior whereby, again, education sector gets the lion's share of the budget. It does. This year, 640 billion shillings. Let's look at 2023, 2024. 640 billion shillings. We're looking at that same kind of number in the last 5 years at least. So if you're getting that big number, then you should be able to guarantee certain things. You should be able to guarantee that every child who is in school then gets what they need. If capitation has been set at 22,000 shillings per child, and we're talking just about high school, that money should actually go.
So
if we're talking about money that has,
fundamentally,
if we're talking about money that should go to primary schools, the money should go. If we're talking about a certain standard of quality that should be met, it should be met.
And don't forget, it's 600 without accounting for what parents are paying.
This is separate from what parents are
Separate.
paying. This is
Or
also
other funds.
This is also
like
separate.
bursaries.
This is also separate from what parents
Parents
pay
pay
when
in
you go
bursary.
for orientation and they tell you
and
that
that is-
capitation will be late. We need you to pay another 30,000 shillings
And-
per year.
and-
Separate from all of that
All
money.
of that.
and that
So
is
does
why
this not go towards, Sossion? Does it not go towards real impunity? Because we're no longer talking about setting
so
up the
then
foundation.
you are
of
not
pillars.
very sure where there is no control. Then you are not very sure whether the 640 billion is adequate or inadequate.
No, I think we are sure that it is adequate.
Yeah.
We are sure
No,
that
no,
it
no.
is adequate,
And,
but we don't see it
As
growing.
parents, it goes to 1 trillion.
Now,
As parents.
Elachi here has talked about parents paying more. That's a fact.
It's
So
happening.
that then if you look at income to education, both from government and parents, will run into billions of shillings.
Trillion.
Trillions of shillings.
Yeah.
The other day, the Speaker of the National Assembly talked about so many bursaries
Yeah.
by members of parliament through CDF, by governors,
Women
by
rep,
women reps,
MCA.
MCAs.
The
And if
president.
all that money was
President.
consolidated, we'll not need bursaries because it will be capitated against every child and schools
runs the
properly funded.
Who runs the fund?
Those
Should
are
be the
now
question.
questions. Those are questions.
Why should
because-
it be a fund? We
I don't
have
know.
600 billion.
Now,
shillings
my
in budget
argument
education.
here, the argument I'm
Let
advancing,
him.
I want you to appreciate the confusion that prevails.
Yeah.
If all this money was consolidated, you'll not pay even a single cent. Look at Kiharu constituency, where the Member of Parliament, Dinde Nyoro, has consolidated quite a number of resources and has worked on a framework of even upgrading infrastructure of primary schools and he has done quite well. And in day schools, he has worked on a specific budget.
Specific budget. Yeah.
Specific budget. The meals. He has worked on the meals. and even up to the menu.
Parents pay the meals.
Eh?
Everything is
Yes,
paid
worked
on the
on
side.
even the uniform and the amount of fees.
Yeah.
With all this, with the sponsorship that is able to allocate to the schools, parents pay only 1,000 bob.
Yeah.
That means if we were to work on a model with all the money that is channeled to education, the parents will not pay even a
But
single
those are
cent.
day schools.
Yeah, and that's for day school.
Day schools, yeah.
And basically that is where we are moving
We are
to
moving
anyway,
to, yes.
eventually. In fact, the big debate in the House now is that should we even have boarding primary schools
No.
doing business with children from grade 4? I think by law we should be able to ban completely boarding education, at least up to grade 9.
At the very least.
Except in exceptional circumstances for special needs children and adults, where you need such boarding schools. But in terms of the money that goes to education, to me, Kenya has done very well comparatively. I've been the president EI Africa, and I was looking at many countries who are not putting any money. Go to our neighbor Tanzania, they are doing 2% of the GDP to education. But here in Kenya, we are around 6% of the GDP and 27% of the overall budget. And you can see, and I was in the committee that drafted the education charter, and we agreed we need to put more money to education within the Kenya Kwanza administration framework. That is why you see there's a lot of money going into basic education, TVET, and universities. And a lot of conversations about it. But the question is control. Are we able to track the money and ensure that it is spent for the purpose with which it is intended, and that parents are not asked to pay additional money?
I think we're able. We just don't do
Yeah,
it. I think
we
that's
are
what makes
able.
it worse.
We don't want. We don't want because the education chain system is controlled by cartels and interest. The moment we agree to slay this dragon of interest and we run education in a very transparent manner. Before we went for a break, I was giving an example of Malaysia. It's a Commonwealth country. It's a country that benchmarked from us. We gained independence almost at the same time, but their economy is now almost 25 times more than ours. And I had a chance to visit it in 2007, looked at the education ministry, how it works, and how schools are funded. In Malaysia, anything called a school is guided by the plans at the Ministry of Education. And they have a fully fledged, effective planning department.
In the ministry?
Yes, in the ministry. So that if in Decorated North, it is recommended that a school is needed, that school will adopt a proper plan of the ministry from building the classrooms, building the fields, building the staff houses, and deploying the number of teachers. That's how it's done. Good planning. Planning and planning and planning. Now, the question is, if in this case, we even don't have a quality assurance and standard department, do we have proper plans and working plans at the ministry? Because you must plan and plan and plan and evaluate the programs that you are rolling out.
We don't
example,
have plans.
For example,
we'll tell you an example.
For example, you are rolling out, you decide that you want to change the education system. And I want to tell you, 844 was rolled out by eminent professionals who were put together by President Moi, curriculum experts. And proper piloting was done. It was not very easy to roll out 844. Not any country in the world can do it. But here it was done in Kenya through careful planning, careful research, and though our education system was supported by the World Bank because we were dependent on donor money. But the intentions of 844 were good, but largely very, very successful. If there were good and meticulous plans at that time and a strong monitoring and an evaluation program through quality assurance, here we don't have, we are rolling out a more complicated, resource-intensive curriculum called CBC, resource-intensive because it requires highly trained, qualified teachers who are properly recruited and properly deployed. It requires resource infrastructure in terms of, because if you're talking about performing arts and sports, you need
all
more
those
fields,
facilities in school.
you need theaters, you look at those facilities, and you need teachers who can teach all that. Resource intensity will require maybe a budget of 2 trillion every year to mount that. And I think the summative evaluation that was done was by Professor Labanairo, indicated that we need to mount CBC, we needed 265 billion additional per year. We are not ready to appreciate that fact. And we don't have strong monitoring and evaluation systems. We are not professional. We are ragtag. Let me not even say we are not even political. No, we are ragtag. And we don't seem to be sure about what we are doing.
For me, the resources are there. I think it is just how we've decided to manage the process.
If we don't have the planning,
money is
if we don't
there.
have the supervision, if we don't have the implementation, and we don't have the professional aptitude to do it and infrastructure to do it, then we are headed to more confusion.
No,
So I think we've deployed enough resources within our
the
framework.
resources are there.
But we now
then,
need to get organized, transparent, and professional the way we do things.
Chief Justice Emeritus Dr. Willy Mutunga, Professor Willy Mutunga, once said Kenya is a bandit economy. And it is clear, even from the conversations we're having, it's banditry. Left, right, and center from the very beginning. From the beginning of the budget making process, it's all.
Oh, yeah. It starts with us in Parliament, to be very honest, how we start now taking over and allocating. So we know that, in this ministry we want this, we will allocate the money there. Here we are in which committee? Water. We want boreholes in our constituencies. We'll put money for those boreholes. Here we want energy. We'll put. That's how we do, and that's why when you ask Treasury, is it possible to just itemize a budget so that even a Kenyan who is in school can understand this budget? They will never agree. Never. And that's why when you say we have debts, then we ask them, okay, kindly show us on a sheet,
proper registry,
annex it, and show us that we had a debt of 300 trillion. Fine. We have paid 10. We are remaining this. They will never. And so it's a loophole, a gray area where we use it, and that's how now we start ticking. If we tell ourselves, let us have open tenders where you can see every open contracts, all these things. When we talk about, and that's why when you talk about Kenyan children, you will find we have those who go to private schools, so those ones don't take government capitation. We have those in Nairobi who are in ABET schools, they don't take capitation, and there are thousands of them. Now come to the real who are in public schools. This money is enough to run a fantastic CBC program, even if you don't give them everything at a go, but at least you can give them a good lab, a good kitchen lab where they can learn catering or whatever it is supposed to be, and sports can still be there. But because we are in this mess, which we've created ourselves, and we like these loopholes so that we can undermine and be sure we are taking. But the worst now is quality of that education. Because you can't tell me we can have 46,000 E's, and we are talking about teachers. Then the worst, as MPs did again, is everywhere you want to build a school, to name it Elachi, another one, I don't know, I name it who, and those are things we did very well. Because that quality assurance needed to have told us, while you build this school
here?
You will need 10 teachers of TSC, and if you don't, you will not have them. So we build a school and then we start fighting with TSC. I need teachers. But you never budgeted in it, which is something, again, we need to be told.
Planning department.
Can you now enhance the schools you have without building another new school? Enhance what you have. Revamp the infrastructure that were done with others, but make it better than building a new school and then coming to say you don't have teachers, you don't have staff, you don't have money, I don't know for what. the same way we are doing with universities.
So now, as we get to that university conversation,
The same way we've done again with universities.
where are we with that planning? Because if we're looking at the same principles, unfortunately, principles of inaction that are being applied at the primary level, at the secondary level, we're seeing the same thing, whereby there's a bit of confusion or a bit of a puzzle, not a bit, a big one actually, that is being played out at the university level when it comes to the funding model. And to say, okay, so what is going to be done? How is it supposed to be? How should it then be figured out?
The funding model, the initiative, the best. First of all, we need to ask universities. I don't know how they arrived to their school fees to be like 200% increase. That one nobody understands, because a student comes, will take care of his food, will take care of his accommodation, so you're paying tuition. But then the funding model, if I'm asked, and if every parent and child will just decide to do the right thing for him or her to get her funding, it can guide, because it's able now to give you the number of students who are now in university. We will be able to come here and say, we have 1 million students, or we have 100,000 students, because each of them, the moment you are placed by COOPs, immediately the portal is clear for you to start applying for your funding. So one of the things I think that the ministry also did and wanted to confuse parents is this thing of coming in and, for example, you say, I'm going to do medicine, then you give me the program cost. Then the parent is wondering, 612. But if the ministry just decided, program cost 612, first semester, you are supposed to pay this. The parent will know, I'm either paying 15,000, I'm either paying 30,000, or even less. But that's where that confusion started. So that it brought a lot of challenges. Each parent doing harambe at home, the child has to join for. But then, now when the students have arrived at the university, and I remember we asked each university to allow the students to come in, I'm hoping the university will now put in a full department in terms of how students can come in to appeal if you feel you are put in the wrong band. And one of the things I would want all of us as Kenyans is to be honest also, so that you go in the correct band. What we need to ask ourselves is, when you say a parent who is being paid 120,000 and according to the salaries, have you costed as per when you have taxed this parent and everything? Or are you giving a blank salary and yet you are about to tax it, and therefore it will be less? I think that's where that challenge is. And therefore, the bands can be more or the bands can be less, but let it accommodate each child. And let now the university, let them have their committee that can look at the teething problems that they are facing and bring in a report also and say, as the university student leaders, we have sat with professionals, they've helped us. These are our teething problem in the model, and we would wish to see if this can change. Because what I don't understand, the first, last year, the first cohort was able to fill in and they didn't have all these challenges. I don't know why in the second cohort we have faced all these challenges. And now there is an appeal. Definitely the first cohort will appeal, because you'll find most of them maybe were placed in the bands that were not theirs, and they felt at that time they were never given an option to appeal, and now there's an option to appeal. So you can see that confusion again. It's going to be more confusion than what it is. But for me, I think what is needed is a clear process so that students can understand. The universities can also tell us what are they doing to improve, because I don't think it is fair for a child to come from all the way from a rural in Suba and now is about to live in Githurai. They have to tell us, is there a way they can partner with this different Kwetu and the rest to have better accommodations for our students that are even inside? Because you have land, you find universities are leasing land to private people instead of leasing to people who can come in and build in good accommodation. What are we doing with the the accommodations that are there, the paint had gone, there's nothing, it's just run down. All those things, they should tell us, because the universities also, the lecturers are paid by government. So there's all this, and that's why in the education system you find yourself questioning so many things that are just wrong.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. It's 28 to 9. Beatrice Elachi, Member of Parliament, the Great North, and Wilson Sossion, former MP, former Secretary General of NAT, our guests. We're looking at the education sector. Now getting into the conversation about the university education, the university funding model, and the whole issue around it. Again, remember, the Cabinet Secretary asked the students, please don't go on strike. I'm going to constitute 2 task forces.
Yes. Okay.
That will now look at what's happening. Are those task forces in place? Are they working? Are they resolving the issues? Are they not? What's happening in this sector? We'll be back.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start